and they don't even realize they're doing it.
Right.
They're just kind of in it because everybody's doing it, right? Everybody else is doing it, so it kind of justifies it.
And that's how I test and prove God. I use my mind to go, is this of God here? I'm thinking, no, it doesn't feel like it either.
That's a taste of the great mind shift. Updating Romans 12:2. This week's episode of The Wise Guys, a podcast that unleashes the unthinkable in culture, religion, and everyday life. In this conversation, the guys break down Romans 12 and apply it to current events. So strap in, shatter the norm, and see if you are willing to let Mac, the Rev, and Coach Stu take you to a place of thinking differently.
All right, welcome to The Wise Guys, a podcast where we unleash the unthinkable, see things differently, and shatter the norms to help us expand our worldview. Hopefully, that will help us do it just a little bit better. We can always move the needle a little bit, can't we? So, hi, I'm Mac, and I'm your host. And in this episode, we're going to apply some ancient wisdom. I mean, we didn't think up this stuff. Okay, we're going to, we're just going to mimic what's already been done, and we think it's awesome. So, we're going to apply some ancient wisdom to the current challenges that we face, and even though we're applying it to the here and the now with the examples maybe, or just whatever we want to say, it's going to be some universal stuff. I mean, you're going to be able to hopefully take what we're talking about in this episode and use it 6 months from now and use it a year from now or whatever, okay? So this is going to be a lot of fun, but I got the guys. Now, here's the funny thing about the Wise Guys tonight, okay? Here we are. Rev, here we are.
In the room.
And the Rev is sitting right across from me, which is very unusual.
To be able to look in the camera and you at the same time.
This is very unusual.
This side shot all the time.
That's awesome.
Buzz, do you know whose seat I'm sitting in?
Are you in Coach Stu's seat?
I'm in the Stu Meister's seat, okay? Because here's the scoop. We got him on the podcast. He's here with us being a wise guy, but guess where he is?
I wish I could show you.
I wish I was there.
He's at the beach.
I'm at the beach.
He's at the beach, man. So we're piping him in.
I can see the water. Episode. Well, when it's light out, I can see the water and the sand, so it's nice.
Okay, yeah. Bragging. Okay.
It's been amazing.
The question of the day is, can you fill his shoes? Can you fill his seat?
That's going to be tough.
Those are some big shoes to fill.
That's what I was
know
saying,
about
man. That. I'm in his seat. I don't know if I can do it.
I'm so glad that technology allows us to do this.
Yeah. Yeah, we can be with each other.
Yeah, yeah. And everybody can connect no matter where you are in the world, which is amazing. That's one benefit of technology. It's an amazing thing.
So, Coach, would you say that exotic cocktails can be anywhere at any given time?
They can be anywhere. Let me say hello to all of those exotic cocktails out there. Hello from the beach. Welcome, all you beautiful people.
I see all those people going,
yeah, let me come.
Stu. Okay. So yes, welcome everyone. Thanks for listening in.
And I love that when you do that every single week, because it reminds me that the three of us get together and we see the goodness in everybody.
Yeah.
We know there's something good and of value and amazing about everybody.
That's right.
I love that.
That's right. Cherries, umbrellas, limes, oranges, whatever. Okay. We love it all. All right, guys. So here we are, Words to the Wise this week. We didn't do it last week because we were really full with John Paul, which was a great conversation. If you haven't heard that episode, folks, Rogers, Exotic Cocktails, go back there and listen to it because we had more fun with that, and he's a really cool guy. All right, Words to the Wise. Here we go. Life is a constant struggle between carrots and chocolate. Yeah, I know which one I'm picking. It's not really even a struggle, to be honest with you.
What if you took the carrot and dipped it in the chocolate?
I was going to say, you stole my thunder.
I like to live in a both-and universe, not an either-or, a both-and.
That's it. Like, you got my chocolate, my peanut butter. You got your peanut butter, my chocolate. It's like, so yes. So we, I think Paul in the Bible said something about, why do I do what I don't want to do when I want to do what I don't? I mean, it's that little struggle. But and Natalie, my wife, is always, no, you're eating the carrots. You can have some chocolate. It's okay. But it needs to be in moderation. Okay.
What's cool about this these words to the wise, is it really highlights the tension between like discipline and enjoyment in your life. Like, think about that, right?
Okay.
If you want to think about like, healthy foods versus chocolate as that, in that way.
But I love that idea. What if you're a weightlifter, you're a wrestling coach, discipline and enjoyment coexist. They must coexist for a balanced life.
Right.
For sure.
Well, that's one of the things that my wife has told me. She says, look, okay, you got to eat healthy. All right, I get it. Okay. But if you do that, then guess what? You can come over here and play. Okay. It's okay. I mean, I finally got that. All right. So, all right. So there we are. Words to the wise, gang. Any more comments about that? You guys good? Okay. Time to pick up some nuggets. All right. So where are we with ancient wisdom from the Bible?
Yeah, let me read a passage from Romans 12:2. This is really what the whole episode is going to be based on today, everybody. So here it is. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. It's a very popular verse. I think a lot of people are going to know this one.
Yep.
It's on the wall in my office.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. That's a great one for unity. So, here's the thing. And yes, it's out of the Bible. It's out of the Newer Testament, right? Isn't that what you Rev? What you call it, Newer Testament. But understand that if you're listening to us and you are of a different faith, or if you're not a faith at all, I mean, there's just whatever. We're going to claim that this is great wisdom that you can apply no matter where you're coming from. Okay? Yeah. I think it's universal wisdom that can be applied to anybody and everybody's life for the better.
I think we can find agreement across religious boundaries.
Yeah.
That this amazing mind that we have is a gift of God. Our intellect and our wisdom and our intuitive faculties is a gift of God, and it should constantly be cleansed, renewed, and uplifted.
Right. Oh, yeah. And it's powerful. I mean, that's the other thing to remember. God gave us a brain, okay, to use. All right.
People are always telling me in my church, "Oh, follow your heart, follow your heart." And I say, absolutely follow your heart. But for Pete's sake, take your brain with you.
Exactly.
Because it's a gift. You need it. It's a partnership. It's a carrot and chocolate, the heart and the brain.
Wow. We're going to be using that all over the place now, right? Okay. Carrots and chocolate, man.
Because when the feeling and the thinking nature come together, I can, approve, it says, or test. Is this of God or is this not of God?
Right.
That's how I sift through the chaff and get to the meat.
That develops the discernment, because that's really what he's talking about there, I think, anyway. So,
one of my favorite words is in this in this biblical scripture, transformation or transforming. I mean, I feel like this is, if I had to pick a word that describes my life, that's probably it. Transformation. But and it beginning with the renewal of your mind, like it just kind of like, to me, it's kind of like change in your thinking that aligns with God's truth, is kind of how I see that, which I think is an amazing, beautiful thing.
Sure.
So I love how this is worded.
Yeah. Well, I think it's not only a challenge, but it's also a comfort. That God gives us. Please do this, and then guess what? And the thing I also like about it is because people, I've known this verse for decades, right? And how do you test God's will? The minute you use the word test and you put God in the same sentence, you want to turn it around and say God's testing us. You hear that all the time, okay? But now how do we test God's will? And you know what? I think that's the beauty of this too, because God's basically saying to us, Test me. Go ahead. Ruminate on it. Chew on it.
See, I look at that just a little bit differently.
about
It's not testing God. It's testing, is this of God?
Yeah, well,
Is
okay.
what I'm experiencing, what I'm thinking, is what I'm in the middle of God or not of God?
Yeah.
I think it first. I'm not too sure. I feel it. This isn't of God, so I can make a decision to change about my own behavior and about what I participate in and don't participate in.
Right.
So it's sifting through once again to find God, not about proving God or testing God. It's testing my own ability to discern the difference between God and not God.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think when he used test and approve his will, that isn't necessarily, I think you're right, Rev, that we're not testing God, but we're trying to discern what is best for us.
What is God's will?
We believe love one another.
Love.
Okay. I would say, I know Stu's right on that path. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, Rev, to do what you're talking about, guess what? You have to get to know God.
Yep. It's based on a relationship.
Have a relationship with God, and if you don't, I encourage everybody to do that. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
And if you have one, keep working on it.
Well, that's right. Always get better.
Yeah, it just gets better and better and
Deeper.
better. Yeah. God can go wherever you want to go with him.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I think that's exactly. I mean, we read that thing out of Lies We Believe About God from Paul Young. And basically, it was this whole conversation about sin and about, he had a whole chapter about this. But I remember the one poignant point, I'm going to say, in one of the chapters was, and I'm paraphrasing here, okay? Look, make whatever decision you want. Okay, you're going to screw up, you're going to do the wrong thing, whatever. But God's just going to enter into that decision with you and climb right in there, and you're going to go together. Okay, I mean, it wasn't, there was no judgment to say, oh, no, sorry, I'm not having anything to do with that decision. Okay, I thought that was pretty insightful. I thought that was really good. All right, so let's kind of break that down a little bit. We're going to sort of, give some examples as we move through that saying. I won't even call it a verse. I mean, it is, but, to stay a little more neutral, it's just good wisdom. Okay.
Okay.
So conforming to the pattern of this world. Okay. How do we do that? Let's just kind of let's bring it to light about how those kinds of things happen in our lives, whether we're conscious of it or not. I think I'm going to just say probably a lot of the time you aren't even conscious of it.
I think most times it is unconscious.
Yeah. Right.
You go to sleep.
Yeah. So I kind of started out with this, and we were talking in the pre-show about this. So, we're going to have some ideas about this, but all of us, and I think I just kind of broke this down in general. You can have your own way you want to look at it or whatever. But when we enter into a situation, whatever that situation might be, it doesn't matter. We're talking just general right now. I'm confronted with this. All right. Or this is going on. Maybe not even confronted with it. Right. We typically will fall into one of four camps, and they can mix around a little bit, but you're going to get the idea here. You are either going to be open-minded of the possibilities outside of your norm. Okay. That could be one place that you land your plane.
There's something new here. That might be something to learn here.
Right. Right. Okay. I mean, there could be an openness to say, whoa, okay, hello. Or these are not mutually exclusive, most of them. So, they can mix and match. You could be in favor and support that. Again, whatever that is, all right? You can be putting thumbs up and going, yeah, man, I'm in, I'm on. That's good, right? Or you could fall into the camp that says, you know what, off my radar, I don't care. I mean, one way or the other, I'm getting on with it. Okay, that could be that. Or you literally could be on the other side of the spectrum from the thumbs up. You could be thumbs down. Oh, there's no way. Okay, I am not going there. That is not what I ascribe to or whatever. I'm just saying you got the opposite and you're in opposition. All right, so as we're going through some of these things, just keep that in mind. And you're going to change. I mean, it depends on what we're talking about. You could be bullet point number 2, or you could be bullet point number 4 on the next one. All right. So you're not stuck. All right.
So it's renewing your mind somewhere between thumbs up, I'm totally on board, thumbs down, totally not on board, is that I'm open and receptive
Uh-huh.
to a new idea, to a new
Mhm.
thought, to a new pattern. Is there a middle ground between I'm all for it or I'm all against it?
Hmm. Well,
I'm going to say renewing of your mind only can happen there.
yeah. Oh,
If I've made up my mind and there's no budging, I'm not renewing
That's a good
anything.
point. That's true. All right. So there has to be some wiggle room in there, you know? That's a great point. All right. So anyway, just stick with those little 4 categories as we're going through this, and maybe just think for yourself as we're repeating some of these things or giving you some examples. Just say to yourself, all right, in this situation, where do I fall? Right? How am I thinking about that? And not only how am I thinking about that, could I enter into the possibility that I need to change my thinking, okay, and renew whatever it might be. All right. So I think that's what Paul was trying to encourage us. Don't conform to the patterns of the world. And we're just, what are they?
Well, the patterns of your own thinking and your own heart. I've always done things the same way. Maybe I could do things a little differently.
Right.
And maybe there's more God to discover at the end of that.
Possibility.
I hope so.
I would say
Otherwise,
so.
I've been wasting my last 20 years.
It's all good. All right. So we're going to, these aren't going to be, what are you talking about, Mac? We're going to run right through these pretty quickly because, we're just setting the stage, right? So how do you conform to the pattern of this world? Greed. Greed is a pattern of the world. Again, is that part of your life? Is that something that you need to examine and just say, well, am I really greedy? I mean, again, it's the subconscious thing for the most part, right? I guess, let me think about that. Okay.
Well, materialism and self-ambition those are real things for people, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
a lot of people will prioritize wealth and possessions and status over their own spiritual growth and their own, generosity,
Mhm.
So yeah, we got to go away from what Gordon Gekko used to say, greed is good, right? I haven't made a movie reference in a long time. I had to bring one
Oh,
in.
that's right. All right. I like that movie. That was a pretty good movie. Okay. So greed, marginalizing, and you can go into the Bible and you can find all kinds of examples that Jesus came to turn that around. Because that was a pattern of the world in Jesus's day. I mean, it was just rampant, and that was the way they thought it should be. Not they weren't, there wasn't a whole lot of conviction that we need to change something, right? So that's just sort of marginalizing, which this one dominating and oppressing, that kind of fits right in, if you will. Again, look back to when Jesus came. What was the Roman world like at that time? Full of it, right? Full of it.
There was a lot of survival consciousness going on here. We have to survive. So these things were necessary to thrive. I have to put you down.
Yeah.
I'm against you. This is all 3 of these are us versus them.
Mm-hmm.
A belief that the haves and the have-nots has to exist in order for my survival.
Right.
We don't live there anymore. Hopefully, we've had some new thoughts over and over and over again that we've escaped the mentality. And Jesus was a part of that great awakening.
Yeah.
You don't have to live. It's not about survival of you and me. It's about the survival of the whole.
Right.
And I think greed gets put into check when that happens. Marginalization gets put into check. Domination and oppression and belittling gets put into check when we shift that new thought that, oh, we really belong to each other here. We forgot. And I don't need to survive anymore. My survival depends on your survival. I am because you are. You are because I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. And
that's a new thought. And I think
here's the thing that you were teaching a class not long ago that I was in, and you were giving some background on the new thought, movement, if you would. And we're going to talk a little bit about that later. But the point you made was this. Understand something. We're here in 2025, and we call it new thought.
Yeah.
There's nothing new about it.
Some of us haven't had a new thought in 25 years.
Well, that's not bad necessarily. It's just that these are some ancient truths that people got a long time ago, that either we're just remembering now or we're just repeating and we're accepting. I mean, but to think about there are new thoughts, but at the same time, don't get high and mighty about the fact that you just invented something. So dominating, oppression, belittling, all these relational types things where you're pushing certain people, down, or you're trying to, it's just, I think it's one of those things where it's a ego thing a lot of times that wants to put you above somebody else,
Well, you know what else is happening, Mac, is there's a lot of peer pressure and even like cultural trends and, where people are they're seeking approval, from the world or from their environment, where they might adopt, popular beliefs and behaviors that actually contradict like God's truth or biblical truth, depending on how you want to look at it, and it kind of redefines their morality but it's almost become like a norm. Like and they don't even realize they're doing it.
Right.
They're just kind of in it because everybody's doing it, right?
Right.
Everybody else is doing it. So it kind of justifies it,
And that's how I test and prove God. I use my mind to go, is this of God here? I'm thinking, no, it doesn't feel like it either. No, I got to have a new thought here because the way of the world is not in alignment with God. It's not in congruity with the God of my understanding. So I need to act differently and be extra conscious and awake that I don't conform to that idea of us and them.
Yeah, and the verse says the pattern of the world, right?
Right.
So understand that, and I had a bullet point, but I'll go ahead and talk about it right now, that there's certainly certain things in the world, not of the world, that you definitely can conform to, i.e. what the Rev is already talking about, Stu's talking about, love, okay? I can conform to love, okay? That's awesome, all right? That's a good thing.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
I vote yes. Thumbs up.
But here's what came to my mind, Rev, when you were just talking earlier. It was that deal about, we fall into this pattern about just doing what everybody else does, right? That kind of thing. So I can hear my mama right now. I can hear my mother. Well, if everybody jumped off a cliff, would you do it too? I mean, there it went. She just went right into my brain.
My dad always had this guy named Joe Gagowski. He said, if Joe Gagowski jumps off the bridge, you can. And I asked him, is Joe Gagowski a real guy? No, he just made him. I want to meet Joe Gagowski and tell him I love him.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Joe.
Here's the thing, Mac, that's a little bit scary. People are jumping right now. And they don't even, and here's the thing, they don't even know how far it is to the bottom. They're just going. I don't even.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's
well.
I don't know how we got to this point, but it's what's going on. I think just acknowledging it, knowing that it's happening, and getting people to think,
right,
or to stop, take a breath, think.
And they're not jumping off bridges; they're jumping to conclusions. They're jumping to judgment.
Wait, there might be a meme right there, Stu. Okay.
And is
The
that
Rev's on a roll, man. I think every single episode he's got a meme.
I got to keep up with you guys. But it's jumping to conclusions.
That's so true,
a suicide of the human race in of itself. When I jump to conclusions, I've killed the human race and I've killed my ability to know love and to know God with you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And here's what's picturing in my mind about the jump off the cliff thing. There's certain people in that group or whatever, they're jumping. Okay. They've decided I'm jumping off the cliff for whatever reason. But there's other people in that are just being pushed forward because who they're associating with, and they're going over the cliff, with the herd, and it may not be a conscious decision to jump. Yeah. Yes, right. There it is. Okay. And so you have to be careful about who you're surrounding yourself with as well.
You become like the people you're hanging out with.
Yeah, because they're going to take you to some places that you might not have the discernment to say, wait a minute, this ain't part of what I want.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of people neglecting God right now, living as, and what that means is not that he's completely gone, but they're living as if he's like secondary to them. And I just don't feel that way. I don't see it that way. And I know my life is great because I don't see it that way. So I would only hope others might put God or your higher power at a higher place in
We
your
kind of live in
priority
this
list.
mentality. When all else fails, well, I guess there's always God.
Yeah.
Or when all else fails,
Right.
all love.
Yeah.
Well, if you're doing that, all the unforgiveness and bitterness that's going on right now, I think goes away, I mean, or at least it's minimized. It's
Right.
not at the top of the list.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
I have to hope that that's true.
Mhm.
I absolutely believe that. So I stay the course of
Mhm.
love.
Right.
Well, yeah. There is no greater power, if you believe that, than in the universe. Say, if you want to go there, right?
Well, think about this. How amazing would the world be right now if everyone just was guided by God's spirit rather than world expectations?
Good.
You're right. I mean, rhetorical question, but I
That'd be
mean,
good. It'd be good.
that's
But
another
is
thing
that
people are
is
forgetting
that
is the
in of
spirit,
itself,
right?
Yeah.
is that in of itself God's will?
Absolutely.
Love.
Yeah.
Can we break down all the world religions that have divided us all and go, well, yes, love is right there at the center of all of them.
Right.
The golden rule is right there at the center. I think that's what's going to heal the planet.
Well, awakening to that, if you will.
And we may have to be crucified
Well,
to do that. Am I willing to do that? I'd like to believe I am.
yeah. Well, we crucify our ego, hopefully, on a daily basis to get just a little more conformed. Okay. But maybe everybody doesn't take that path either. So, hey, listen, this is awesome stuff, guys. I would love to just keep on this path for a long time, but I think we're going to have some really cool nuggets coming up.
I'm ready for transformation.
Because we want, this
My
is
favorite
Stu's
word.
favorite word. Yeah, Stu's favorite word, transformation. So, we're gonna take a break. We're gonna have a little cocktail over here, maybe, or whatever we're gonna
exotic
do.
one.
You can go ahead and you can go ahead and use the restroom, whatever you want to do. Okay, but we're gonna be back in a few minutes. We're gonna take a break and hang on. Thanks for listening. Oh, look at that! I don't usually punch those buttons. Stu usually takes care of it.
You're doing a little extra work today.
I know. Yeah, man.
Big shoes to fill, big
yeah.
chair to fill.
Yep. All
And I
right.
am officially in low battery mode at this point.
Uh-oh.
So it may go dead halfway through here. We'll see.
Okay.
That's okay.
All right.
But he's going, his voice is going straight into the board, right?
Yep.
Yes.
So it's just a video. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, I mean, yeah, if he doesn't, we'll just lose video is what we'll lose.
We can
And
go. I'm ready to go if you want to just hop into the next
Okay.
part.
So let's go back. All right, we're back, the wise guys, and we are talking about some ancient wisdom that does, there's wisdom in the Bible, again, Christian, not Christian, doesn't really matter, that we can grab a hold of, that we can learn from. And we've talked about some things in the first half about conforming to the patterns of this world. I'm going to go ahead and read the verse again. Stu, read that for me again, will you?
Yes. So this comes from Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will.
All right. So we've been kind of breaking that up a little bit, trying to glean the truth and the nuggets from each little part of that. And now we're going to sort of move into the transforming and renewing of your mind. Because really in the first half, we sort of talked mostly about the problem. Okay. I mean, here's the problem. Here's what we're facing. The world today, it's a lot of anger and angst and, confusion and whatever. And those are, let me put it this way, that's not unique to this time, right? By any means. All right. We face these kinds of situations in our own life or in the world or in, whatever it might be all the time. All right. So, this is a universal, condition, if we can call it that, right? So let's talk about transforming and renewing your mind. What do you think about those concepts, wise guys?
All I know is that my life is rich and full and magnificent and beautiful. And it's because I was willing to entertain a new thought, a new idea, a new paradigm, and not go along with the herd. I'm really grateful. And it's scary. That takes a lot of guts to transform. I'm willing to be changed at depth has been a prayer that has made my life heaven on earth when it has been hell before.
Good. That's good. That's a good testimony right there. I love that. Okay. Well, the two words transform and renew, right? This is part of that verse. Transform, to change in character or condition. So it's pretty major. I mean, it's a big deal, right? When you are transforming. So it's drastic, but it's also beautiful. The whole butterfly thing, right? Where it transforms. How about renew, though? In a similar word, a synonym would be regenerate. So the definition there is restored to a better, higher, or more worthy state.
Yeah.
The word regenerate you used, I think born again. Born again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
I'm made new.
Yeah, yeah. And that's an ongoing process, right? And again, don't tell yourself that I need to not have that happen. I don't want to fall and then get back up and fall and get back up and all that. No, that's exactly what you need to do, right? That's the plan B in the plan A and B.
Right.
So anyway, those two concepts is what Paul, when he wrote this from Romans, when he wrote the letter to Romans. So let's start out with this. I'm going to let the guys kind of just jump off of this statement. Minimize or even eliminate differences through a better understanding of one another.
Yeah, I think the Rev and I are alike in this way. We're always looking for how we are alike over how we're different. And that's just naturally, that's just where I go when I meet people, which is why I end up in these conversations like at the gas station and wherever I am, with different people. Yeah, my toe shoes. Yeah, right. But I mean, that's a way to have a better understanding. Everybody has, Mac, you and I have said this for years. Everybody has a story.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're interested in that story, you can better understand somebody once you know more about them.
Sure.
And that's a beautiful thing. And you know what? Not only that, it's fun to learn about other people. I mean,
they're exotic cocktails.
Right?
One thing I've learned that if my mindset, my starting point is I'm seeking connection, I connect with people. If I'm looking for what's different or what alienates you from me, I'm going to find that as well.
You'll find that. Yeah.
And the world gets more separate and more separate and more ugly and more dark. So I'm saying, hey, the alternative is just look for where the connection is.
Right.
Your story matches my story. We've had a similar story. Let's dance in a collective story together.
Right. Well, the basis of things like 12-step, all of that, all kind of rehabilitation and all that is to share the stories, because that way it takes away that, I'm unique. It's only happening to me. Why am I the victim in this? Where everybody can share, not only can share commonality, but can share healing, can share camaraderie, can share love.
So does transformation require listening?
Oh.
In order to transform, I need to put my ears on and listen.
Of course. Yeah.
I think so. I think it's a prerequisite.
Well, what you're really saying here, both of you guys are saying that transformation is not an isolated on an island event that I'm going to try to initiate in myself, right? That it's a communal thing, that if you're transforming and you're around other people, they're going to see it. First of all, you can offer some counsel, you can offer some guidance. You're in the story together now, right? And that's a story.
My evolution, my transformation, my becoming is intricately associated with yours.
Right.
It cannot be disconnected. Right. So we do it together, and there's a greater power, a greater strength, and maybe a greater proving of God.
I think that's the way it.
Maybe that's the earthly journey. We prove God by remembering these truths.
Absolutely. Well, the thing that I've learned recently too, and we were talking about this in the pre-show. So if you sit down and let's just say you perceive that you have 10 things that you just are disagree with somebody over, right? Just wherever you got that, but that's your filter, that's your grid. And if you really sit down with them and you have a conversation and you're earnest about trying to find out, well, okay, I see us having a conflict here. Help me understand, where you're coming from better than I do right now. Even if you can't reconcile all 10, okay? What about if it's just 3 or 2 that are left? What have you just done? You've just mitigated and closed the gap. Now that doesn't mean sometime in the future you can't keep working on it and maybe you will close the gap. All right, totally. But at least you don't have the angst and the anger and the fighting and everything else that comes with if I'm fighting you over 10 things. Oh my gosh, we're consumed by it. Both, as opposed to just saying, well, look, let's revel in the, in the 7 that we agree in and figure out what we knew about the 3. All right. I mean, I just think it's a process that if you don't enter into it, it ain't going to get any better.
I find the more that I'm wanting to build bridges, the more transformation is possible for me. So I say I'm kicking down all the walls I have put up in my past, and I'm trying to turn them into bridges. That's exactly where can we find agreement? Where can we find that unity that I teach every week?
Right.
It's a much more beautiful place to live.
Well, that's the crucifixion you were talking about because you
got
just
to
got
crucify the old ideas.
That's the old stuff. I get it. No doubt. All right. So that was one. Minimize or eliminate the differences. How about this? If you're going to transform or renew your mind, enlist the power of the Spirit. And again, the Christians have a view, a way to look at that. Almost any religion will look at the greater power, right? Whatever that might mean for you. But there's a great power that's greater than us that will enable us to do these kinds of things and be successful at them. If you don't draw upon, and it lives right in you. I mean, we don't have to go find it anywhere. All right. It's right there. It's right here. It's just a matter of us enlisting it and acknowledging it and enlisting it. And you'll be amazed then at what starts to happen and how you end up transforming, not them. not them out there.
See, I got to find it in myself first before I can find it in you.
Right. Exactly. So
Well, here's the good news, Rev, is the Spirit is with all of us,
Yes.
with each of us all the time. And just many of us either don't know how to acknowledge and communicate or hear the Spirit, but the Spirit is touching, nudging us, helping us with feelings, with thoughts. I mean, it's there. I mean, you could call it intuition sometimes. I mean, I know it's there, and it's taken some time for me to
Cultivate it.
understand and cultivate it. But
Yep.
transformation, my favorite word, right?
Mhm.
It's not instant, right? It's a
Mhm.
daily process of aligning our hearts and minds to me with, Christ or the Christ consciousness and just, renewing our minds, growing in wisdom and faith and all of that. And that's what gets you there with the Spirit, at least for me. That's
For
how
me,
it works.
it's every morning getting up, and there's old hymns that I used to sing. Open my eyes that I may see, and that my prayer before my feet hit the floor in the morning. Open my ears that I might hear where God is, and cure my blindness, cure my deafness, because I've been missing where love is, where light is,
Yes.
where life and God is. Oh, let me live in such a way that I'm a little more open today than I was yesterday, and that tomorrow I'll be a little more open than I am today.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and Stu's really good about this. He'll talk about, quote prayer, but ways that we can, connect, if you will, or more realize on an ongoing basis, just in our lives every day. And it can be small little moments. It can be little snippets. It can be all this other kind of stuff. You take them. It's an awareness level, and it can't pigeonhole where that awareness is going to happen or in what frame. But I will say this is my own experience. Okay. I mean, this isn't like the universal thing that, everybody's got to do. But for me, I had to stop the monkey brain. Okay. And so for me, it's super important on a regular basis that I need to contemplate. It just doesn't work for me And not that those little moments that can't happen. I mean, they certainly can. But again, if I don't make a conscious effort, a specific effort to say, okay, now I'm just going to sit down and I am going to contemplate. And there's all kinds of different ways you can do that. I don't have to go into that in this podcast, but understand that I think it's super important that that's part. That's just part. You got all kinds of different avenues you could pick, but if you don't every once in a while stop the monkey brain, it's really hard to learn to listen to those things that are not normal. Let me put it that way, right? You listen with your ears, but now you need to start listening with your spirit.
Jesus said, come apart for a while.
Yeah.
And I say, you come apart for a while, or in a while, you're going to be coming apart. You've got to step back from the world because it has got a strong magnetizing pull to you.
Right.
So you've got to give equal value and time to the spirit. And that means checking out of the world for a while and remembering truth.
Right. I think I did a meme on that, by the way.
You could.
Yeah, I did. I think I got it somewhere.
You're the meme master.
Well, I just take everybody's truth and then I get to be a little creative with it. I don't have to be the one to think about it necessarily, but it's all good, right? It's all good. So, so you got the spirit, right? Then we want to introduce you just in a very overarching, just in a bigger, just way to, what do I want to say here? Just a broad brushstroke, maybe, okay? That we want to give to the Rev is a reverend in a unity church right here, close to us. And there is a philosophy and a religion built around that's called New Thought, or, there's different ways that it's called, I guess. So share some of these, transforming, renewing your mind principles.
Well, you're gonna make me do the elevator speech. No sermons today. Yeah. So I'm gonna go real quick. There is one presence in the world. There's only one of us here. It's that energy of life, of love, of goodness in God.
Yeah.
If we're experiencing something different, then we're the ones that move. There's only God. Second is, if there's only God, then you are an expression of God. I'm an expression of God. Everybody is an expression of that light and that love and that goodness. We belong to each other.
Amen.
Amen, amen, amen. And the third principle is our thoughts and our feelings and our actions are creating our reality. It's heaven or hell based on what we're doing between our ears, our mind, our thinking, and our feeling.
Yes.
And the way we refine that skill is through prayer and meditation. It's the coming apart that you talked about. Absolutely spending time in the spirit, in the still small place, in the sanctuary of God. And then fifth, and it's my favorite of the 5 principles, the truth that I know in that silence and stillness is the truth that I demonstrate. Go out and be love. Demonstrate love, be kind, be compassionate, and get into service to others.
Yeah.
Because that's being the Christ. That's being the Buddha. That's being the light of God.
That'll preach.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's about as fast as I can do it. I could do a 3-week course on any one of them.
No, we love it. I mean, again, I love it because it meets me where I'm at as well. That type of thinking, that type of, Richard Rohr, he's one of my favorite guys, and he started a thing called CAC, which is a Center for Action and Contemplation. So for those folks, and you can take almost any mystic throughout the ages, that it takes contemplation. That's great.
That's the fourth unity principle.
But it has to move into action.
Fifth, do something.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And then you know what? I mean, it's a beautiful thing. Now I act. And that's a little bit beyond me. Okay, I need to contemplate some more. Okay. I mean, it's like this, they feed each other, right? I mean, how can it not? Because I think that's the idea about how we transform.
Faith without works is dead.
Oh. Hello, James.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, one of my favorite books.
There we go. All right. So that was New Thought. You want to find some more about that? We'll put some stuff in the show notes if you're interested in that. We practice it. Rev and I, we go, and Stu really practices it.
What I love is that we share principles from different faith traditions. It's the same principles. We're finding the bridge. We're finding the commonalities. It's not new thought. It's old thought revisited and kept fresh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's an idea about how you can transform. There's one other avenue. I mean, certainly everybody's got their own. And then the last thing we'll just bring up right now is cultivate a willingness. I'm willing to think differently. And I don't really know what that means right now. I have no idea. I don't know what's going to come my way, but we call it what? Antennas up. We've used that saying for years, right? You just got to get them up so that you at least can get the download. You can get the airwaves coming in.
I have to suspend my judgment, my preconceived notions, and my beliefs about anything and everybody in order for that download to happen.
Right. Right.
It's not easy. I've defined myself by my judgments for years. No, it's time to let them go.
Very cool. Very cool.
Well, the fear in doing this can go away to me if you just rely on the Holy Spirit. Allow the Holy Spirit to shape your thoughts and your actions daily, and you don't have to worry about it. It's that easy.
I totally agree, man. That'll preach. Yeah, right there again. So good stuff tonight, wise guys. I love it. Okay, I absolutely love it. Love it.
Wish I was at the beach doing this.
Yeah, we're going to turn this off, and then Stu's going to go for a walk on the beach. He's going to take his wife and his kids.
That's right.
Go find God on the beach.
I hate you, John. I hate you, Stu. just so you know, okay. But we got to end.
Yes, we do.
Here we go. All right. Your ongoing mission, should you choose to accept it, is decide to think differently. That's number one. Find like-minded. How about that? Okay. You got to go find you the red pill people. Talk about that every week, right? And then you strap on the armor. And we've been talking about the armor literally this whole episode. And that's your truth. You just need to stand firm in your truth, right? But be open-minded that, some of that might be massaged along the way. Then you need to storm the gates. And really, that starts with each one of us. We got to storm the gates of our own stinking thinking, as the Rev would normally say, right? Okay, that's where it's got to start. And as you do that, and as you move through that and out of that, you will help others remove the blinders. You will help others become stronger, see some things that they haven't seen before. You got to storm the gates of that complacency and the herd mentality. We're talking about tonight. And lastly, what's going to happen when you do all this stuff? You are going to unleash the unthinkable. Yeah, and these are new thoughts. We talked about this all episode this week. So you gotta you gotta be ready to unleash those thoughts that are just going to take you to a place that are absolutely amazing. So there's your challenge, guys.
And God
there it is.
Speaking this week. Listen
to God speaking this week. So anyway, we're wrapping up. That's great. Thanks so much again, my guys. I love the wisdom. I love your hearts. And we will be back again next week. Stu will be back, and we're going to make him suffer all that we can since he's been
back at the table
this week. Yeah, he's back. I'll have to move out of his seat. Okay, but thanks for listening. Okay, we really do appreciate it. We do hope we bring at least some little nuggets that can help make your life a little bit better. That's our goal, and we really believe that we're accomplishing that, and we can always do it better.
Let us know.
But let us know what you want to talk about. That would be great with us. And so anyway, have a great week. Hope you ponder some of this stuff, and we'll see you back again next week. Thanks.